Have you ever heard people that talk about going to a conference or a camp or something where they say, we're going to have a mountaintop experience? It's like this euphoric emotional experience of feeling closer to God because you've gone to something which is emotionally supercharged and you feel like you're on fire for God. You feel like you're feeling the presence of God. And you seek after this. You want more of this because it feels good. But the problem with a mountaintop experience is that eventually you have to come down from the mountain. And there's a very real danger if you are seeking these types of emotional experiences. You're seeking these special moments in order to use that as a measure of your faith or your closeness to God. In the Christian life, we can get so entangled by emotions. Emotions aren't a bad thing. They're a good thing that God's given us, but emotionalism is a bad thing when we are just seeking after emotions and we equate how well we're doing, how spiritually mature, how close we are to God based on our emotions. And the problem with these types of experiences, you see it all the time with these camps and stuff, conferences, people, they feel all on fire for God, and then they've got, they say they've got this new revelation, everything's clearer, oh, I'm just going to live fully for God, and then a week later, they're back where they were, and they say, why did I lose that fire? And often it's because there never really was any true fire to begin with. It was just emotions. And if you're grounded in emotions, if that's your foundation, when the distractions of the world come, you're just going to be pushed straight over because there is no foundation in emotions. A foundation is only in God Himself, in the truth of who God is. And we need a revelation of that truth, not a greater emotional experience. Often in times of prayer as well, there can be times when we feel closer to God and we can sense His presence, and it's so beautiful. I don't want to discount that. It's great. It's just, it feels so good. But again, there's a danger in seeking after that. If that becomes a thing we pursue rather than God Himself, we're always seeking for a manifestation of God rather than seeking God, and then we can be disappointed when that doesn't happen. Whatever experience we have, God can bring that about, and we should leave that in His hands. Whether He wants us to feel something in a moment or not, what He desires for us is just to continue to pursue Him. And that's what our eyes should be on. And often He will withdraw Himself as well, so that we don't have to rely upon emotions. We don't have to rely upon the senses as the guide for our faith. We're left with nothing. And that's when true faith can spring forth. That's when true faith is grown. When we say, I don't feel it, I don't see it, but I'm believing the truth because this is what you say in your word, God. And you continue to come before God. You might feel dry. You might feel as dry as a desert. But you continue to come before Him because you're coming before Him by faith. And the measure of your closeness to Him isn't whether you feel dry or whether you feel watered or whatever you feel. It's all grounded in what He did for you. You have right relationship with God. When you're coming before Him, you are living by faith. Often people want a feeling of faith rather than practicing faith itself. And we are so much closer to God when we are walking in faith, whether we have a feeling or not, than when we're feeling some sort of feeling of faith and using that as a guide to how well we're doing in the Christian life or how close we're feeling to God. Very dangerous. We were not made for the mountaintops. We were made for the valleys. And the test of a person, the test of the genuine faith of a person and their relationship with God is how they live in the valleys. When they don't have the excitement of the mountaintop, the euphoria of the mountaintop. They might even have the despair, the despondency, the darkness of the valley. How do they walk in that place? That determines the measure of a person's true faith in God. And that is what we're made for in this dark, fallen world, is to walk in the valleys among those other people who are walking in the valleys, and to shine God's light in the valleys. We don't have to be happy with our circumstances all the time, but we should have a peace and a joy in the innermost part that can't be touched. And God should be with us wherever we go. We should be abiding in Him, not waiting for special moments, special manifestations, special emotions. That's not true faith. So friends, I just want to encourage you, even if you don't feel it right now, even if you're feeling dry, it doesn't change the fact that you can come before God in faith. And you simply coming before Him, whether you feel like you have faith or whether you don't feel like you have faith, doesn't change the fact that you do have faith by coming before Him, and even more faith than if you were feeling all of these sort of emotions which you could lean upon and rely upon and feel confident in. No, cast those aside and put your confidence in Him. He is unchanging regardless of what you go through. Stop seeking an experience, stop seeking a mountaintop experience, and recognize that God is there in the valley, just as He is there on top of the mountain. Draw close to Him today and allow Him to guide you, minister to you, and continue to walk forward, friend, one step at a time. Don't lose heart. Don't be discouraged. God is there. Draw close to Him.